Guys, it's me, and here is a little bit different of math for this math lesson 9.4. It's using graphs, and I want you to, we're going to do it just a little bit differently. So this is the vocabulary you need. I need you to write down what the scale is, and the scale is the range of numbers that you need to show in your graph, and that's what you get from your data table. The interval is how you fit all of those numbers onto your graph. Sometimes you can count, if your scale is 1 through 10, then you can count by ones. But if your scale is 1 to 100, then you might have to count by tens. So you decide what best interval you're going to use for your chart. And I'll show you some examples as we move through this. If we have on a line graph, you'll see it'll ask you about growth or decline. And you'll see lines either going pretty steep up or down, and that means there was a faster change. If you see the lines that are a little bit flatter or even flat, it might mean there's slow growth or no growth. And sometimes they're super steep, and that means the growth or the decline is very fast. So I want you to hit pause right here. And I want you to make sure that you get these examples written down so that you can see them and you'll need them. So hit pause and I'll be back with you in just 1 minute. Okay, so you're back now and I'm going to take you over to our math lesson. So as I'm looking here on my math lesson, I see problem number 1. Problem number 1 shows average temperatures in a town over January, February, March, April, and May. And that shows the temperature was 51 in January, 55 in February, 65 in March, 73 in April, and 81 in May. And so my scale, the numbers I have to have inside of my graph are going to be 50 to at least 85, maybe even 90. So let's see what an appropriate scale would be. What's my choices? 0 to 50, that wouldn't include the months March, April, or May. 20 to 60, that would leave out April and May. 0 to 100. 0 to 100 would show all of those numbers, right? And if I'm looking here on the appropriate intervals, how am I going to get 0 to 100 up there? Can I just go 1 and then 100? Well, that doesn't make any sense. If I just do 50, I have 0, 50, and then 100. That doesn't make any sense. But if I do it by 20s, I would have 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. That's the one that makes the most sense. And let's check our answer. I did it right. Okay, here's the next question that it's going to ask us. So they want us to make a line graph out of this data. And it shows, it gives me these points, 148 to 252. So I click here, I come to 1 and 48, which is just below the 50, and I'm going to drag it. I'm going to click and drag it to the 2 and 52. I'm making my chart. The next one starts at 2 and 52 and goes to 3 and 62. Okay, so I'm going to click here. And I'm going to drag it over to 3, and 62 is just a little bit above 60. The next one I'm going to use is, okay, nice job. I'm going to use 362 to 470. So 3, and I'm going to move it to 470. Okay, and then the very last one I'm going to do is, correct, the 470 to the 578. So I click here and I move it up to 578. And so we could say that we could see the temperature is changing pretty dramatically over the months. It starts down here in the high 40s and it ends up here in the 80s. We had a pretty fast increase in temperature over these 5 months. Okay, let's look at the next one. If I'm looking at this one, I want you to answer which month was the least change in average temperatures. If I'm looking at this graph and it shows average monthly temperatures right here, which one had the least change, or what part of the line is the flattest, the least steep? Is it between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, or 4 and 5? You're right. It is between 1 and 2. Nice job, you guys. Let's look at the next one. Here it's asking me to put the ordered pairs starting with the least x value. And so I want my least x value. My x value is the top. My y value is the bottom. So what's my least x value? You're right. It is 1. And the number that goes with 1 is 17. The next one is 2. And the height that goes with 2 is 22. The next month is 3. And the height that goes with 3 is 26. And then the next month is 4. You're right. And it goes with 29. Okay? Nice job, you guys. Very nice job. Let's look at the next one. So we want to make another line graph of this data. Where am I going to start? I'm going to start at month 1, height 16. Month 1, height 16. And the change into month 2 shows 21 inches. So I'm going to grab my point. I'm going to come to 1 and 16. And I'm going to drag it to 2 and 21. Okay, what's the next one I'm going to do? Do I do 221 or 325? You're right, you guys. I do 221. My lines need to stay connected. So 221 to 325. And then my last one will be 325 to 428. Okay, nice. Now, which month, over which month between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, or 3 and 4 did I have the least amount of growth in height? Nice. Good job, you guys. It was between months 3 and 4 that there was the least amount of change. Great. Let's look at the next one. This line graph shows the height of plants over 4 months. It shows that it really started to grow a little bit and then a lot here and then a little bit again. So between which 2 months did the plant grow the most? And enter the months in order of occurrence. And so the most growth, I would say, is between, you're right, between months 2 and months 3. Between which 2 months did it grow the least? Which is it the flattest? I would say, yeah, I think you're right. It's between 1 and 2. Let's check our answer. Well done. Here we're looking at estimate the height at 1.5 months. And so here's, I see 1 month here. Here's 1.5 month, and I'm going to come up and see right where it intersects on the Y. And so it's just, see, here's the 20 and here's the 16. It's definitely more than 16, but less than 20. And it's pretty close to 20. I would give it an estimate of about 18. Oh, it doesn't like that. To find the estimated, find 1.5 months on the x-axis. Then move upwards until you reach the segment. Okay, so I found 1.5 months. Maybe it's closer to 19, you guys. Let's give a 19 a chance. There we go. We were just one off. Pretty close. Okay. Here's this last problem. This shows two graphs. It shows a bar graph. The red is the bar graph, and that shows precipitation, how much rain fell in each month. The blue line graph shows the average temperature over each month. And so looking at this chart, we're going to answer a couple of questions. What's the average temperature over the first 5 months? Does the average temperature, that's the blue line, does it go to get to be warmer, or does it get colder, or does it stay the same? You're right, you guys. It increases. It goes from down here in the mid-40s up here to almost 70. Here's a question. When the temperature is higher, the amount of precipitation, so the higher the temperature, the what of the precipitation? Is there more rain? It doesn't change, or lower rain? You're absolutely right. It is lower. The average temperature in May, so let's find May, was about how many degrees? Here's May, and we're looking at temperature. We know it's more than 60, but it's less than 70. What are my options? It can't be 73 because it's below 70. It can't be 70 because it's not touching the 70 line. And so it has to be 68. Great. Nice job, you guys. I think that takes us through. We have one last final question. This line graph shows the amount of snowfall over several days. It shows, if I look at it, I see between day 1 and 2, there was about a foot. Between 2 and 3, there was 2 feet of snow. 3 and 4, there was just 3 feet of snow. That means no more snow came. And then between 4 and 5, wow, they had a big snowstorm. And then between 5 and 6, there was another snowstorm. So let's see what the questions say. There was no change in the amount of snow from day 2 to 3. Is that true? No, that's not true. The greatest increase in the amount of snow between consecutive days occurred between 4 and 5. Is this part steeper, or is this part steeper? Do you think this is true, or is this false? Yeah, you're right. It's false, you guys. It's not as steep. From day 1 to 6, the amount of snow increased from 1 foot, there's the 1 foot, up to 8 feet. That is absolutely, it's true. Nice job, you guys. Let's check the answer. Oops. Did I click something wrong? I must have. The greatest increase in the amount of snow between consecutive days occurred from 6 to 8 or 3 to 6. From days 4. Oh, days 4 and 5. You guys, I was looking at the chart wrong. That is true. I am really sorry about that. Let's check again. Nice. Excellent job. All right. So now you have some questions to answer and some practice to do. Have a great rest of your day today.